Hey, what's up everybody? Tekken Season 2 is fully underway, and I am back with a brand new tutorial for Kazumi. The reason I did a whole new tutorial instead of just a quick update is twofold. If you're brand new to the character, you can watch this video to start learning instead of getting false information from my previous video. And if you already did know the character, this will go over everything that is different and what makes the changes valuable in this time around versus what she had to give up. So if you knew the character in the first place, the paradigm is a little bit different. She's not as much poke, poke, poke anymore as she is poke and retreat. They turned her into more of a hit and run character. She has some better escape tools, as well as a little bit more flexibility and options than she used to. So in either case, whether you're brand new or experienced, I hope this helps you figure out just a little bit more. So let's start off with Kazumi's Punishers again. Nothing has really changed here from Season 1. It's a very strong set of them, just like any one Mishima has. 10 frames is 1-1-2. You can hit confirm that and get a knockdown, or do 1-2-2, leave them standing with frame advantage. It's up to you which one you want at the situation. 12 frames is 1+2, which is a mid attack and very nice. Decent chunk of damage, doesn't have tremendous range, and is -14 on block, so be certain about it. At 13 is down forward 1-2. This is going to have significantly better range because of the utility of this chop. And it's also not safe. You can kind of hit confirm it, but as you see, the delay is, it's tough. Like, you really had to have expected it to land. You might be better off in a lot of cases just using this because it's a little more reliable. Damage is about the same though. So really, if you got 13, you know your punish is 13, stick with this, I feel like, just because you can kind of wing it a little bit better. At 14, she doesn't have anything remarkable, just this dumb kick, which kind of sucks for everything but a 14 frame hit. I don't know. 15 is her hop kick, up forward 4. Pretty standard, below average hop kick. It's a knee, so it doesn't get parried. They nerfed it in Season 2, so she doesn't get off the ground until like frame 13 or something like that. So she can get counter hit the whole way on the way off the ground. Go figure. But it's a hop kick nonetheless. It's a defensive Mishima with a hop kick, so no real complaints. Also at 15 frames, she has the 3 series, 3-2 and 3-1. Whoops, I did those backwards. This is 3-1, causes the spin, and this is 3-2, where you get a free stomp. These are 15 frames. They have pretty good range. These is where you would use to punish a death fist that isn't quite out at the tip. They'll work very well. The 3-2 gets you a down tiger, or to keep it safe, just run up and stomp. That's a lot more versatile option. The down tiger can get you in trouble if you're close to the wall. They can stand up and punish you. It's really just for style. And that's it for punishing standing. 18 frames is her tiger uppercut, which is really just more for whiffing. There's very few things you're going to see that are -18. And really, you don't need the extra combo. It's kind of a weird combo. So this is really just for minding your own business, keeping control of your half of the screen. As soon as they stop, you whiff punish with it. Even then, you know what I mean? It's just kind of a mid to long range whiff punisher. Not so much on block. As far as low blocking goes, her while standing 4-4 is 11. Natural combo. The only difference between hers and the conventionals are hers is a mid-high, which means it can get ducked. Most while standing 4-4s, like all Mishimas and Akuma and stuff like that, they're launch punishable on block. At least in her case, you have to duck the high in order to launch punish her. But again, if you're punishing, you should know that you have it and you can let it fly. 12 frames while standing 1-2. This is much better. This is a really powerful punisher. Still hit confirmable, even though they tightened that window a little bit in Season 2. It used to be really hit confirmable. Now it still works. It's not a big deal. Once you get used to seeing it, you know, you're pretty sure you have the punish. Just wait for the impact and let her rip. So that's a very strong punisher at 12. But she doesn't really have anything else until 15, which is hop kick territory. You block a low, it's -15 hop kick. She has a while standing too, but this is also 18 frames and not super reliable. It's more damage, so if you get like a stagger block from a hell sweep or something, go with that because you get better damage. Otherwise, there's a lot of things you're going to block that won't actually get punished by it because it's so slow. So for the most part, when you know you have a low launch punish, just hop kick since it's not been put. So let's go over Kazumi's move list, one section at a time, and then we'll close out with talking about which moves are the best. I just kind of want to go through each one and mention where they're different, what they're good for, little by little. It's a very short move list, and it's not a lot to remember. It's very poke-oriented, so there's not a lot of complex strings. She has the 1-1-2 that we mentioned in the punishment section and the 1-2-2. She also has 2-1, which is high mid, and you can see how she automatically moves to the side when it impacts. Not a lot useful that way, but once you are already to the side, she gets a little bit more, like that. It puts her around the back. If you're just a little bit off to the side, like so, you get a free attack in the back. Down forward 1-2 is free. I just stick to 1+2 because it doesn't rely on you predicting the camera. Sometimes the camera can switch weirdly. It'll switch her side, it'll switch the camera side, and it's hard to predict. So I just do 2-1 and hold it, and then just mash out the 2 when I see it connects. So that's still there. Pretty good string all around. Just a high mid string that causes that little bit of off axis, and you get free damage when you're a little bit off to the side already. Only to the left. Doesn't do anything if you're on the right. It just reorients her better. If you're a little bit to the left, boom. So again, that 1+2 we mentioned earlier, this 12 frame Tiger Strike, -14 on block, so you can't just throw it out all day. It's a pretty good move, but it's really just for punishing and extra damage when you can squeeze it in. Her 3 series we also talked about, 3-1, this will wall splat, and then 3-2, this will break floors. These are both 15 frame startups. The mid is -13 on block. Season 2 reduced the pushback to make it easier to punish at 13, which is fair, because 3-2 is a high that's safe and they can duck it. So that's a classic paradigm. It seems to fit pretty well. 3-2 is really a useful string though, because you get so much damage from it, and you need to use 3-1 every so often to make it respectable, to keep the mix up fresh. Her standing 4 is also a magic 4. She can get a combo like that. Typical 12 frame magic 4, nothing fancy about it. It's -9 on block. It's safe, obviously, but they reduced it so you can't just keep going as easily after it. The other neutral input she has are the Tiger Strikes. 2+3 is the horizontal Tiger, and 1+4 is the downward Tiger. These aren't really good for anything, honestly. If you happen to be a half a mile away from the opponent and like you're trying to just win a round with a Tiger, you could try to throw it out, but honestly, they're so negative on block, most characters can just run up and tag you. Noctis can throw the sword and just hit you no matter what. They're not a very practical tool. They're really just for kind of style points. The down Tiger does have its uses for certain knockdowns, just like the 3-2. That's there, but even then, it's not. It can kind of backfire on you sometimes. So don't focus on the Tigers unless you're really just trying to style on people. Forward input moves, she only has 3. There's forward 2, which is a high power crush. 17 frame startup, safe on block because it's a high. Power crush causes that knockdown. If they don't roll it correctly, like I have it set on quick back roll, if they don't roll, you get another down 2 stomp for it. Otherwise, they can just roll it automatically. So pay attention to that. Oops, excuse me. If you catch them with a forward 2, and they don't back roll right away, you get that. Forward 3 is one of her better moves now. This used to be the, well, still is, the only move that transitions into Fearless Warrior automatically. The difference in Season 2 now is you can see it lifts their feet off the ground a little bit, right? What that does is make it a launcher. So if this move hits, and you're holding forward to transition into Fearless Warrior, the 2 will pick them up and you can combo it. So it basically turns forward 3 into a launcher on hit. And on block, you still have the mix-up properties of the Fearless Warrior attacks. We'll go over that in detail later. Fearless Warrior stuff is pretty good. There are ways to beat it, but you have to be super attentive. So just keep in mind that on block, forward 3, you have all the mix-up, but on hit, this is now a launcher. You have plenty of things you can do to combo with it now. Kind of interesting. It's 18 frames, so you're not like getting a new Death Fist punish or anything like that. You can't punish Heihachi's Demon Uppercut, but it's still a pretty good move to think about to have in your arsenal now. The other forward input is forward 4, which is this high homing move, and I wouldn't use it outside of combos. I honestly wouldn't use it because back 2 is better in like every way. The hit stun, the recovery, all of it. Forward 4 got nerfed a little bit, or buffed a little bit, excuse me, in Season 2 by beefing out the hitbox, so you can use it in combo situations where you couldn't before, like stuff like that. It'll hit now, even though it's a high. Other than that, don't use this outside of combos. If you need a homing move, stick with this, hands down. So there's not a lot for forward inputs, just a couple there. Down forward inputs, it gets interesting. There's the down forward 1-2 that we mentioned earlier. Kind of hit confirmable. 13 frame knockdown. It's a good move all around. Just this by itself, even though they've had to reduce its range several times, it's only -4. People have to respect that this exists, and so they don't want to press buttons after it. Still one of her primary poking tools, along with down forward 4, which is the other one. And as I mentioned in the intro, they turned her into a little bit more of a hit and run character rather than hit, because she used to be able to just do this crap all day and just poke, hit you with the low, and then poke, poke, poke. So now when you do this poke, you do the down forward 4, and it keeps you at that nice range. That lets you, you know, fly out of there or start backdashing or whatever it is. So down forward 1, down forward 4, pretty generic mid pokes, but they do the job really, really well for this character. Also with down forward is D2, which is your tiger uppercut we also mentioned. It's basically just a half screen whiff punisher. If they happen to come up like really, really short, you can catch them with it, but again, it's not full screen by any means. It's nowhere near as good as Noctis's. This has also got good crush properties, so if you feel like they're going to kind of come at you, like, you know, jab, jab, and then hop kick you or something, you can kind of do this and it'll crush through a lot of stuff. Just don't get baited. You're going to get destroyed if you're wrong doing that. Down forward 3 is just a shitty version of down forward 4, to be honest. It's in the notes as getting better frames, but who cares? Down forward 4 is a much better move. This is 14 to start up, and this is 15 frames. But the one that's 15 frames is way better. Just stick with that. So down forward 1-2 series, down forward 4. Straight down inputs, she only has one of note, which is down 1-2. This is like Heihachi and Paul had that downward chop with a follow-up. This move got really altered in season 2. It's a natural combo in both seasons, but it used to be like -15 or 17 or something with a crazy amount of pushback. Almost nobody could do anything. Now, as you can see, it has 0 pushback. None whatsoever. So they reduced it to -13. Still unsafe, but it's definitely easier to punish. You're going to get the full 13. So what they did instead is give the move a little bit of extra oomph, which is this. It does 63 freaking damage now if you catch that counter hit. I guess even if you whiff the first one and then get caught with that, still 45. So just like before, you can kind of delay it a little bit. See that, you know, when you throw this out, if they were doing something, then let the 2 fly. It is still somewhat counter hit confirmable. So practice doing that if you can, because once you get that, you're just going to heap damage on them. The risk is less than it used to be. Even though they can punish easier, it's only 13. So for the amount of damage you get for eating a 13 punish, it's worth learning how to utilize this move. Her other down inputs are generic. Down 2 is just a sit jab. Down 3, down 4. They're not great. They're, you know, slower than average lows. Pretty good crush properties. That down 4 is going to go under some stuff. So will down 3, but they're not great lows. Down 3 plus 4, however, is better. This is basically a generic down 4 that other characters have. Down 3 plus 4 is its input for some reason, but this is, you know, 12 frames, -12 on block. All of these things are negative on hit, which also kind of sucks. That all of these lows, they're lows, sure, but they're not really good for offensive poking because they're negative on hit. So that takes us to down back inputs, where we have down back 3 and down back 4. These are both positive on hit. Down back 3 is a little bit faster. Down back 4 is a little bit better. Down back 4, this is +4 on hit. That's a tremendous amount. The hitbox has been reduced, but it's still pretty good. It's not anything like fake, but still, all the way at the tip, you get that. So down back 4 is really what you want to use a lot. It's so plus that when you hit it, that can't be stopped. You go for a down forward 1, they can't do anything to beat you. So this is still your primary low poke, just like it's always been. They just kind of reduced the overpowered nature of the move. And remember, down back 3 is there. It's a little bit faster, just not as good. Down back 4 is the guy that you want. That is your key low poke for most things in the game. She also has this low, low, low string, which is down back 2, 3, 4. This got changed a little bit. The goal in the beginning was to force you to low parry it. I think in the arcade version, the third hit was completely safe. So if you let her get that far, it's your own fault. You were supposed to block and then low parry it or whatever, or punish in between. Now, in this version of it, every hit on block is going to be -14, which also means if you block that middle one, you can punish it with something quicker and beat out the third one, even if she does it. So kind of think of it that way. Instead of thinking of this as minus 14, just block this and do your while standing 4. It will punish that and stop her from doing the third hit. Kazumi's, on the other hand, need to learn to counter hit confirm like that. You can see how on counter hit they flip over like that. You can see that and then let the second hit come out. Like that. And the same will apply for the middle hit. Like that. You can see them topple over and then let the second hit rip. That's the only time a Kazumi player should be doing the follow-up hits in general, is when you smell out or confirm the counter hit and you let the second one go. Otherwise, I mean, you can try doing that, but like you're going to get punished for it. You're going to get low parried. It's not really worth it because these first 2 hits are also negative on hit. They don't get you anywhere. The last one, however, is 5 on hit. But again, the odds of you hitting people with that are pretty low. You're never going to get there. So this is there to just kind of throw out. It's slow, but it does high crush. So if you do catch those counter hits, you get the free damage. So back to the top, down back 4 is the one that you want to focus on. That's your low. The other down back input move is her backswing blow, which is down back 1+2. This is 24 frames, knocks down, gets you the free down 2, safe on block. Pretty good move just to have, just to kind of like, you know, poke. When you're doing your hit and run poking, you know, you're throwing at them, you want to sidestep every so often, hit them with the low. You can sometimes poke and then just throw, you know, one of these out and catch their counter poke with it. Get the knockdown and then the follow-up, down tiger if you want to. It doesn't combo or anything, that's all you get, but you get it on every hit, not just counter hits. So keep that in mind as a really nice, you know, anti-counter poking strategy. Down back 1+2. Back inputs are 1 and 2, back 1, 2. This is also kind of hit confirmable, which is not very good. It's minimal damage. This first hit is something like minus 18 on block, and the second hit is minus 14. So it also does swing back a little bit. This is not something you want to rely on for that property. If you really are trying to bait people out and poke, you want to use that. Much better. But back 1, 2 exists. It's just not very good. Back 2, on the other hand, is one of her best moves. This is homing. It's only 16 frames. Safe on block. Causes that backspin. This is a really good tool. Think about Lars's back 1 if he's been annoying you for the last 10 years. This is a pretty similar tool. When you wake up at the wall, you know, when your opponent's down on the wall, you're either going to wake him up with another alloying low or one of these things and splat him. So this is a really good move in general. Back 3 is this weird toe kick. Also not good for anything. 16 frames, but who gives a shit when you have this? Down forward 4 is just superior. So back 3, kind of useless. Not really anything good there. Back 4, on the other hand, is kind of interesting. This move is a little bit slow, but you can see it's got super good range. On counter hit, you get this crumple stun, and you can combo from it. And it's minus 13, but if you're way out at the end of that range, you'll be okay. It does cause a little bit of an off-axis hit. You sometimes kind of have to step to your right for your combo, but nonetheless, this is one of only 2 counter hit launchers the character has. Back 4 with the crumple stun and her magic 4. That's it. There's nothing else that launches on counter hit. So keep that one in mind too. It is a pretty good overall move. It's got a nice range, and if you're keeping it out at that range, they're going to have a hard time punishing you. And finally, back 1+2 is a parry. This is a power crush parry. It has armor. And instead of just like grabbing your opponent's hand and then armbarring them or anything like that, it's more like what they turn Devil Gens into. You armor through the hit, and then you just kind of reverse it. Like that. As soon as they make impact, she shocks them, the tiger hits them. That got super buffed in Season 2 because it was useless in the beginning. The tiger would delay. Sometimes it wouldn't come out. It couldn't make up its mind if it wanted to continue to armor multiple hits. Completely useless. Now it's pretty solid. You get the base 30 damage no matter what move the opponent did. So another tool to keep anti-counter poking off your back. Because you're a character that wants to poke, move around and poke, they're going to get antsy and try to hit you back. So she's got several tools to try to foil those methods, as well as just the old backdashing and getting out of the way. So her parry is a power crushing parry, if that's what you want to call it. Back 1+2. Upward input moves. She has this sidestep move like Jin and Feng, up forward 2. Moves off to the side and hits you. Does a nice chunk of damage, Hers knocks you down, but is unsafe, unlike theirs. In fact, I think this is -14. That's pretty bad. You don't want to do this all day just fishing for it. You really want to, again, make the read about the opponent counter poking you and try to blow it up with that. Use it as a bait. You know, you kind of poke, 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 and then do this. And then boom, they get blown up if they went right there. But again, she has several other tools like this thing to try to avoid counter poking like that. This is just one of them. Up forward 2 is decent. It's not great. It's not as good as Fangs or Jins, but it's there. It's the same idea, just not quite as buff. She has Hunting Hawks, or as I think Heihachis are called, Hell Axle, which is also badass. It's up forward 3, but unlike his, she's got a 3rd hit follow-up. Up forward 3, 4, 3, which causes a screw attack, and up forward 3, 4, 1. Excuse me. 3, 4, 1. Which causes the knockdown, that flipped over head first knockdown. Now in Season 2, both of these got made -11. They were both launch punishable and block. Now they're only -11. So that's actually pretty damn good. The nice thing is in Season 1, you were always hit confirming this anyway. You do the first 2 hits, and as soon as you see them connect, you could hit the 3 and get your screw attack. There was no real need to finish the string and get punished, but now you can. Now you can keep them guessing and throw out that knockdown at the minor risk of -11. Pretty good. They definitely improved that a little bit to make it a lot more functional. I kind of used it a little bit too often just because I thought it was badass, but at this certain range, if they're moving laterally, it's going to blow you up. So be careful with it. It's just kind of a little thing to, you know, oh yeah, I forgot she had that for a minute. And then that's up forward 3, 4, and its extensions. Up forward 4 is her hop kick. A below average hop kick that they decided to nerf in Season 2 for some reason. Go figure. She has 2 forward inputs, which are forward 2. This is another power crush, only this one is mid, and this is -13. Nice chunk of damage and it knocks down though. So if you were keeping track, she has a high power crush in forward 2 and a mid power crush in forward 2. The high is safe, the mid is unsafe, but does some nice damage. Good range on it too. She takes a nice step with that forward 2. It's a pretty good move, even for just like kind of mid-range whiff punishing. You want to tag him with that. It's fast. It's 14 if you can pop it out that quickly, and it's armored. So it's a nice move to have. And the other forward move is forward 4, which is her best launcher. A lot like the other Mishimas have that forward 3 kick. This is pretty similar. It's about 20 frames to start up, and it's safe on block, and it's mid. She also gets some extra combo damage from it. It's her best damage launcher in general, as well as the combo that results. She gets a slightly better combo from it just because of that bounce. So you want to remember that too. That's a super good move. It's probably her best launcher, even though it's a slow one. But if you're used to Mishimas, you think back to playing like Kazuya, and his only 2 launchers are the electric and the forward 3. You know what I mean? You don't have a million things to deal with. This is his mid option out of Wave Dash, and hers is pretty similar. It's a really good move. They did reduce its tracking in this game, just a little bit, but it's not something you need to worry about. Just keep in mind, you know, if opponent is good at moving, you can't just like, you know, in the middle and then throw this out and expect it to hit. It's really good for waking up situations when you have them knocked down in front of you and that lands right on their head. That's what it's for. She has what I always call laser scrapers, because that's what Jin used to call them back in Tekken 3, which are back forward 2-1. Looks like this. You're going to see these in combos all the time, and probably never outside of combos. They're not good for anything. There's back forward 2-1, 4, which is a high and causes a tailspin, or back forward 2-1, 1+2, which is a mid and knocks you down. Guess what? One's safe, the other's very punishable. There's no real reason to do it. Even the first 2 hits by itself, that's -14. There's no good application in neutral game for this move. Even on counter hit, this causes that crumple stun, which is escapable. These aren't good for anything. These are combo tools. That's pretty much all they are. They exist, but they're not good laser scrapers like the Jins have. Not really anything to worry about. So to round out the set of forward punch moves, if you remember the forward 2, the forward 2, and now forward 2 is that. Running 2 or triple forward, instant running 2 is this. This is -4 on block, even though it might feel like it's plus. The recovery is so long for both opponents. Their recovery is actually faster. It's hard to feel because you're in block stun for so long. You'll find out if they start challenging you, if you continue your offense, whereas Dragunov, they'll find out real quickly if they challenge him, they get destroyed. So this is negative, but it's still a really good kind of like, I'm out here, I'm not sure if I want to go in or retreat yet tool. You know, they're getting up from a hit, just kind of keep these on them. If you're at that range, you can kind of just keep doing it, keep them fooled. pretending that it's plus on block when it's actually not. You can definitely sidewalk this to your left. It's not super hard. It's also not super easy either. Just keep in mind. That's the other thing too, is if you screw it up, you kind of get forward to it by accident, which isn't the worst outcome. But running 2 is definitely a much better pressure tool. You know, you do this thing, keep your distance, and then boom, there's another one. Keeps them guessing. It really messes with their mindset because of the block stun. And so all that leaves is her while standing moves. We went over the basic 4-4, the 11 frame Punisher. It's a homing move. You could use it for, say, blocking slides from Law. You can just do that right away and get your screw attack that way. Keep in mind it's a high. You can't just throw this out. You will get launched for it. While standing 1-2 is a much better option. Given that it's -12, or it's a 12 frame move, most lows you're going to block are -12. There's very few things that are specifically 11. Most good lows are 12. So you can kind of live your life looking to punish every low with this and just hit confirm it. It is still hit confirmable, just not as easy as it used to be. 12 frames while standing 1-2. Very, very good. While standing 3, this just kind of sucks. It's 15 frames, knocks him down, but also it's unsafe. And if you're blocking a 15, hop kick that ass. I can't imagine a reason you'd want to use this thing. Maybe if you were trying to like fake them out at the wall or something, and I don't know, you have this. That move is also there, but it's not got a good purpose that isn't just completely outclassed by other moves. And the other while standing is while standing 2. Again, you really need a stagger block for this. Ducking something and punishing with it, not very good because it's so slow. So that's it for Kazumi's basic moves, all of her normal attacks. Let's kind of go over and recap, in my opinion, what the best moves are. One of those is forward 3. The fact that it's now a launcher because of this, very good. Lots of good options there. And if it's not on, if it doesn't hit on block, you still have the Fearless Warrior mix-ups. You can even do it by itself now. There's no real harm in just doing it. It's a very, very good move. You can see easily enough that it did connect, confirm the 2 and hit it. If it didn't connect, you know, do another option, do this or something, whatever it might be. We'll get to more in Fearless Warrior and how you use it later. But forward 3 is a super good move. Down forward 1 and the down forward 1-2. Very good for your poking. A very good move. Still has some decent tracking, keeps them honest. You want to use this in your poke game a lot. Follow with down forward 4. One of the other best pokes she has. She's still a poking oriented character. It's just now she's a little bit more poke and retreat, play defense instead of just poke, poke, poke all day. So down forward 1, as well as his extension, down forward 4 is some of her better moves. Down back 1+2 is one of the arrays she has for stopping counter pokes. If they get tired of this crap and they want to start poking you back, you have that little backswing blow that hits them, free damage. Pretty good tool to have. Out of the options she has, this is the safest one. The Power Crush parry will get you some damage. This one's not very good, and this one's unsafe. They're all there to stop counter poke, but I think this is the best, down back 1+2. Just kind of poke them out, sidestep, and then boom, faked them out. And then round out her poking game is down back 4, the one super good low she has. There's lots of lows. There's this thing, you know, there's generic down 4 lows, down back 3. They're just not as good. I suggest you use them here and there just because it'll keep your opponent guessing how they're supposed to react. Like say, for example, down back 4 is only -12 on block, I believe. But down back 3 is 14. So if you kind of like, you know, use this one a lot, like, okay, I'm going to punish out with my 14. And then you switch back to this one, they're going to have it in their mind, punish lows with 14. So even though this is a superior move, this one still has its place. Just in terms of mixing up what you do and not giving them the same look a million times in a row. Even though it's a low, you don't want them to have to deal with the same thing 5 times and then develop the muscle memory for it. So down back 4 is the good low, supported by all the other lows. Back 2 is the homing move that you would use in these situations. Near out at distance, homing. Keeps them from walking around you, still safe on block, very good. Her hop kick is pretty good too. I mean, if you're going to be poking and then sidestepping, you're going to get that clean sidestep and launch them. So the hop kick is a great tool to have for a defensive Mishima with strong poking. Hop kick, superb. It's just not a good hop kick. I think that's reasonable. If they gave her a super good hop kick, it'd be too much. And her best launcher, if you have it, is that forward 4. Harder, it's not much for like, you know, a poke, counter poke sort of game, but it's better as a mix-up tool on Wake Up and for other mid-range footsie type games. That's her best launcher. And then her best mid-range footsie tool is that running 2, which, as I said, you sometimes screw up and get forward 2. Nothing really wrong with that. This is the move you want to use at mid-range. You know, you're not quite sure if you want to. If you want to go in, you can go in with that. And if you don't, just do another running 2. So, I think those are her best moves all around. She's a poke-oriented character, and that's the best way that you poke with it. This thing, that, the low, the homing move, the pressure tool. Some honorable mentions would be the strength of her Punisher, 1-1-2. Because you're going to just be, you can throw out this 1-1, you know, all day and then confirm it. You know, it's a really good tool to have. Do the low, poke, and then as soon as you see it connect, hit it. So that's, jabbing is also a very important part of pressure and poking, so it's worth mentioning that she has the Mishima jabs with the knockdown and the hit confirm. Very, very good. She also has a Magic 4. Pretty good too. In the middle of this counter poke situation, Magic 4s are very good. The only regret is that they're high. No big deal. She gets a good combo off it still. There's nothing wrong there. Pretty strong combo all around for a Magic 4. That got better in Season 2 as well. Some other moves worth mentioning are the new down 1+2 because of the stupid amount of damage you get now. Look at that. It's a 30-year health for one readable counter hit. You can totally read that, and your risk is only 13. So that's the only reason it's not one of her best overall moves, is it's unsafe. You don't need to get 60 damage all at once, and you don't want to risk 13s, but still pretty damn good. And the other honorable mention, I think, is while standing 1-2, because it's such a strong low Punisher. Learn how to do it. If they don't, you know, if they don't ever block lows, you're not going to have an opportunity to use it. But sometimes I'll just duck a string and I'll do that instead of like hop kicking or launching or whatever, just because I'm conditioned to use this move quickly and decisively. So it's worth having that in your arsenal to do it that way. So I think those are her best moves all around. They're designed to poke. I just think in Season 2, they're refined to poke and be able to retreat and then make some reads. Do you want to go back in? Do you want to retreat, etc.? Makes her a little bit more versatile. Instead of just hit, she's now hit and run. The other moves she has with specific properties we've probably mentioned. The Power Crush moves, just real quick, are forward 2 is a high, forward 2 is a mid, and back 1+2 is a parry. Doesn't do anything if she doesn't take an attack. Her homing moves are forward 4 and back 2. And as I said, forward 4 doesn't exist, just do back 2. It's better. And while standing 4-4, that second hit is officially homing. And her screw attacks are 3-1. That same forward 4 and that back 2. As you notice, they all cause that little pirouette spin, which means they will all wall splat. Up forward 3-4-3 causes an automatic screw attack. Laser Scraper 4. Back forward 2-1-4, that's a screw attack. And while standing 4-4. So that's it. I think that's her basic moves. It's not a very long list. You can go through the move list in the game and just kind of refresh yourself. Yeah, 1-1-2, 2-1. Oh yeah, I know that. There's the forward. It's not a very long list. You could easily memorize this list and just, you know, start working on refining that list into the 10 to 12 moves that I gave you. Now let's talk about the new Fearless Warrior stance. It's an old stance, but it's pretty much new because of how much everything in it has been changed. The first thing to notice is that the Fearless Warrior done by forward 3+4 can now fly backwards. You just tap back and she'll go right into, I think it's called Last Warrior, flying backwards. And the opposite is also true. Back 3+4 used to do this, and now she can go right forward. So that's the biggest fundamental change. And I think this kind of fits with the new hit and run paradigm, where if I'm, you know, out here at range, I can fly backwards. But as soon as I see you do something, I can come right back in and attack you. That's, I think, the goal there, is to be able to do this. As well as, you know, maintaining that range out here. You fly at them and then back off to try to bait things. You can't do anything out of the backwards fly just like before. It's just a retreat tool, but you can now come right back at them. It's not super fast. You'd be surprised how hard it is to actually like whiff punish things, but that's what it's going to be for, is to try to bait actions out of bad situations. Also feels like this is because your wall bounces in here, this is going to be the best ways to do it. You start getting them back towards the wall and they get desperate to get away from the wall, and they might feel like that's a little bit of breathing room and then run right back into that. So the ability to go between two flight stances is a huge change. As far as the moves inside Fearless Warrior, almost all of them have been changed as well. So you used to have the high and the mid were both launchers. This mid used to be a launcher, and this high was a launcher. Now, this mid is the wall bounce. It used to just stun in front of you and be a full launcher. Now it only launches at the wall, so they turned it from -13 down to -9. This is now safe. So I think that's fair. You know, it used to be an all-purpose launcher and unsafe. Now that it's a very situational launcher, it's completely safe. I'm fine with that. As well as the high one, this is her Wind God Fist, basically. They made it -10, like other Wind God Fists are. If you screw up doing an electric and it comes out as a non-electric Wind God Fist, those are -10. And this is now the same thing. This retains the property of being the only move you can't interrupt. Let me set this on block. If they block your forward 3 and you do that, they cannot interrupt it. They're going to get hit if they tried pressing a button right there. The only move out of the stance that is like that. Everything else is slower, and they can jab you out of it. So that paradigm is still the same. You know, if they're going to get antsy and press buttons, they're going to get launched by that. So as long as you keep doing that, you know, you're going to launch them every time. Eventually they get wise, like, okay, let me stop pressing buttons. She's going to keep doing that high. Let me start ducking. That's what legitimizes all the other mids, etc., etc. So that property is still the same on block. That's the only unbeatable option. Everything else is a little bit slower. So you can't just bulldog your way through it. You have to at least represent that and represent some of the other options to keep them guessing. And as we mentioned earlier, if the forward 3 connects, the Fearless Warrior 2 is now guaranteed for a whole combo. That makes that forward 3 a launcher on hit, but on block, you still get the conventional Fearless Warrior stuff. So remember that too. You need to learn that confirm now. When you see their feet lift off the ground, press 2, and then learn your combo. And if they don't lift off the ground, you can still press 2, and they can't beat you to the punch, but they want to start ducking, sidewalking, whatever it might be. So the rest of the arsenal is still the same, just different properties. Fearless Warrior 3 now causes them to crumple over like that, and on counter hit, same thing. There is no counter hit launch on this move anymore. It used to counter hit them and then bounce them in the air for a combo. That is now gone. It is +9 on hit, which is very, very nice. So I'd almost, in some situations, rather, obviously a combo is good. But if the trade-off is I get to use this more often and get a huge frame advantage to go for offense, I think I'll take that. They get hit with one of these things and they get another low in their face, they're going to hate it. So it went from just being difficult to implement counter hit launcher to a much more useful offense starter. The frame advantage is totally worth going for this move now. When it's in the air, it still has the flip down knockdown property. You can still do like this and a combo with it, and it'll still do that flip over knockdown, break the floor. That's still there. They just took away the counter hit launcher, but made its hit advantage much, much better. The Hell Sweep 4-2, I guess, is largely unchanged. That didn't change at all. They changed that in 7.0. It used to not be a natural combo, it's safe. 7.0 comes out and they made a natural combo and now made the hit -16. And that hasn't changed. So I guess that's the same. Fearless Warrior 1+2 is this. That used to knock you down. It only knocks you down on counter hit now, like that. So why take that away? And the reason is they now made this +4 on block instead of just 2. That seems like a trivial difference, but +4 is actually really good. That means that this is unstoppable now. If they block a Fearless Warrior 1, whoops, can't hold forward. If they block a Fearless Warrior 1+2, this is unstoppable. They cannot beat you to the punch there. So that's a big difference. You can't get jabbed out of your pressure. That +4 is legit. There's nothing they can do to get around that. You have this thing that tracks. That makes it a much better tool. If they blocked your forward 3, and then you get that offense, your pressure is better. So in exchange, you don't get the knockdown. You only get the knockdown on counter hit. As you saw, she still has the unblockable, which is forward 1+2. Doesn't do a whole lot of damage, is fairly slow, they should be able to react to it. Not a great move. It's there, but I guess if they haven't seen it in a couple years, they might like, oh shit, what is that? Otherwise, no. And the third move you used to have was a throw. They changed the input to just being left throw, 1+3. You just press 1+3 to get that throw. They upped the damage from like 5 to 15, but its best feature is that it wall splats. If you hit them to the wall at just the right time, you can fly up and throw, and it'll tech trap them and throw them right back into the wall again. That's all that it does, is a wall tech trap. So they buffed the damage a little bit, and they made the input used to be back 1+2. Now it's just regular throw. Left throw only, 1+3. 2+4 does not work. So that's pretty much all of Fearless Warrior. Everything has been shifted a little bit to try to add some more variety. Instead of everything being a launcher or everything being a counter hit launcher, they mixed it up a little bit. The one change that is also significant is the Wind Godfist. The 2 has had his tracking increased in Season 2. And the reason for that is when an opponent could see you doing this or just flying at you, if you were to step to the right and duck, you would beat every single option. You would sidestep the 1, the 3, the 1+2, all of that. And ducking would beat the 2 and it would block the hell sweep. So if you could see that coming and make that read, you'd get it every time. Now the tracking is increased on 2 is going to shut down your ability to do that so readily. Most stances like that in the game, like Leo's K&K or Josie's Switchfoot, there's no universal answer to get out. You can step this, but not that. You can duck this, but not that, etc. Kazumi's used to be beatable by sidestep right and duck. Now the increased homing on the 2 is meant to take that away from you. So if you want to try to sidestep everything, that's going to start hitting you now. So again, I think that legitimizes the whole set of tools, puts it all together. So real quick, 1's the mid wall bounce. 2 is the high launcher. 3 is a huge frame advantage on hit. 1+2 is a huge frame advantage on block. 4-2 is a hell sweep, knocks down, ends combos. 4 1+2, unblockable. And then 1+3 is a tech trap throw. That's it in a nutshell. Got to get used to it. You don't want to rely on this kind of mix-up because it can be beaten. But if you want those style points, it's definitely a legitimate tool to be able to use to keep your opponent guessing and to kind of just keep them on their toes, especially now that you can do this crap. Fly away and then come back at them with an attack. That goes a long way. So that's Fearless Warrior. Now let's move on to the fun part, the combos. Kazumi doesn't have a ton of different launchers. She has the ones that you need for the situation she creates. She's a pokey, hit-and-run character, so you need to open up opponents or punish them to get your launchers. You don't get them for free randomly like some other characters. So her basic launchers are the hop kick, up forward 4, Fearless Warrior 2, and while standing 2. I call these your basic launchers because you're going to get the same B&B combo off of each one of them. Nothing is different. Everything else is a slightly different combo to it. Down forward 4, you can see the tiger makes impact in midair, and they flip upside down and spin. So you're going to get a different combo there. Forward 4 causes that bounce, which lets you squeeze in a little bit of extra combo. Up forward 3 causes the screw attack right away, so you're limited in what your choices are there. And as we mentioned, forward 3 is now a launcher. You have to go right into Fearless Warrior 2, so you're already starting the combo in progress with that one. I also mentioned she only has 2 counter hit launchers, which are Magic 4 and Back 4. That's all that there are. So you can't just have a million moves to throw out left and right and catch those combos. You use your back 4 to, you know, stop the pressure, and you keep range, and you know what I mean? You keep them at the tip of that toe, so when they do run an attacking, you catch that counter hit. And that's it. So you have to know how to use those and how to use them sparingly. So as far as the combos themselves, there is a slightly better new B&B in Season 2, but you can still do the old combo if you're comfortable with it. It's fine. And in fact, the old combo will work on more of those unique launchers that I mentioned. The old one will look like this. Once you're in the air, you do forward 3 into Fearless 2, then you do the Laser Scraper 4, and then the Laser Scraper 1+2. That's it. That was the combo that you used to see on the internet all that whole year. It still works now. I used to use a little variation of it that looks like this just for style points. Stick a down forward 1 in the middle of it just to kind of help with timing, but you got to lose that hit on the end. Result's the same, doesn't matter. So that still works. That'll work on almost anything you have. The forward 4 is fine. And then the forward 3 and the fearless 2, you can start right there and continue it. You know, do the same thing. Just pretend you've done the same launcher. It works exactly the same way. But the new options gives you a couple little more things you can squeeze in extra damage here and here. The new combo that I've seen out there on the Twitterverse looks like this. You're using the screw attack right away, which I mentioned in the first Kazumi video that you can kind of do that and then just alternate these parts to the end of the combo instead of the beginning. Still kind of like that. So you screw attack right away, and what I'm doing is a raw Fearless Warrior 2 to cover the distance, and then the new forward 3 timing is a little bit different. So now this is kind of valid in combos. You don't hold forward, you just do the forward 3 by itself. And then after that, down forward 1 connects regularly, and then your ender. So again, it looks like this. Forward 4, Fearless 2, forward 3, down forward 1. You can see where I dropped it while I was talking about it. But that's the concept. Forward, Fearless 2 covers the distance, forward 3, down forward 1, and then ender. Your ender can either be Laser Scraper 1+2, or a forward 3 into Hell Sweep. They're going to do exactly the same damage. If I had my choice, I'd do the Hell Sweep one because it is 1 hit less. If you're going to get the wall, your scaling will be better. The tiger at the end causes an extra hit, which would affect your scaling in a combo that's going to keep going. So given my preference, I would end with this. Doesn't matter. It's really up to you. You'll find out in some combos that this is a little bit easier to do because this one you have to run up and then do back forward for the Laser Scraper. It's up to you. So I'll have all of these written down in the notes, but the new B&B is a little bit different. And so you can still use elements from that to make up some of the other combos that are a little bit more specific. The first one of those is up forward 3, 4, 3. Since that uses your screw attack right away, you kind of have to readjust it. As you saw before, since I use a screw attack and I did Fearless 2 to cover the distance, in this case I'm going to do Fearless 4. And then follow it up with a down forward 1, then my ender. So it looks like this. Damn it, I screwed it up on the first try. Like that. Just the way the property lands, the number of hits you used. Fearless 2 doesn't work, Fearless 4 does, and you catch them with the down forward 1. Same ender, either way, interchangeable. So the combo from down forward 2, since you can see the tiger make impact in midair, changes a little bit. I haven't seen a better combo yet in Season 2. I've just been doing the same old one, which is this. 3-1 for your screw attack, run up, down forward 1, and then the same 3-hit ender. Or 4 hits if you count the tiger. Again, there might be something better. I just had not seen anybody put it together with new tools yet, so I've been sticking to that. For 61 damage, seems fine. Her Magic 4 combo has to be done like that. Back 2 is the only thing that's going to catch them and do the screw attack right there. Nothing else is going to reach. But if you'll notice, that actually looks a lot like what the new combos are doing. Since we were doing hop kick and forward 4, doing the screw attack on hit number 2. And you would also assume, can I just use the same B&B combo? Yes, you can. The only reason why we're using forward 4 in these other combos is more damage. It's like 8 points more damage. That was at 27 versus 21. So you'd want to use forward 4 in combos because it is more damage, but in the Magic 4's case, you're restricted to using back 2 because it's the only thing that hits. So that combo would be exactly the same. Like that. You fly up after the screw attack with a Fearless 2, etc., etc. Off of the counter hit back 4, this one's a little bit trickier. You can squeeze in some hits, but the ending of it gets to be a little bit tough. It's kind of hard to describe. There. That last hit, it can be really picky to catch on to it. But that 70 damage is absolutely worth learning to do. The only thing I did there is you're starting to see the pieces in common now. The forward 3 and the down forward 1. Those are occurring a lot. Oh, wow. I didn't know that was a thing. Really? No way. I'll come back to that. If you do a down forward 4 is the first hit. That's all I saw them on the internet. I couldn't find anything better to replace it. I couldn't, you know, think of a better move that would pick you up like this or anything like that. Down forward 4 seemed to be the best bet right there. So that was the first hit, was a down forward 4. Then the forward 3, down forward 1, and the Laser Scraper screw attack. They see that kind of misses sometimes. It's really about a feel. You're running towards them, and as soon as you see their feet start to come down, that's when you hit your forward 3. I found that easier to do than running up to do the laser scraper version, just because you're running and have to do back forward. It gets a little bit harder to do that last thing, but I think the 70 damage is worth it. And if you don't want to, you can still do the old combo like this. That'll work. That's 69 damage. Holy shit. I don't even know why you'd bother at this point. That's what I've been doing for the whole time. I kind of thought it was less than that. But anyway, that's an option too. So the old B&B works fine. The laser scraper screw attack and the laser scraper finish, that works just as well there. But just know that the new system, this forward 3 and a down forward 1, gets you a little bit more damage in a lot of these cases. The new combo from the forward 3, since you're already in the air once you connect with that, like I said, you could just continue normally with the down forward 1, etc. like that. That all works. 58. What I've started doing, which is a little more universal for small characters, is the 3-1 right away, like the down forward 2. So that'll look like this. Run up, down forward 1, ender. Like that. Same thing as off of down forward 2. That's 59 damage. That seems to be working out just fine. Just like that. I'm perfectly good with that. There is a 61 version that's a little tougher to do by squeezing in those extra hits. '61. Not that much tougher, but again, that last hell sweep hit can be kind of finicky. So it does go up to 61 if you want it. Either way, just pick one of these and learn it. You know, you want to have it at your disposal. Dropping a combo is worse than doing a less than optimal combo. Just always remember that. And so last one to go over is forward 4. As we mentioned, this is her best launcher because it does 21 damage by itself, and that bounce lets you squeeze in some more things. The old combo that you can maximize that only works on male characters. If you look elsewhere on my channel, there's a video where it works on Heihachi, but it doesn't work on Devil Jin. Go figure. It gets you 74 total damage, but it's actually really, really hard. The new combo is much more consistent for like 67. I have no problem just sticking with that. The caveat to this combo is being able to do a Fearless 2 right away and then do the rest of the combo. That's basically all you were doing. And you can still do that now. You just also do the new combo variation instead. That still works. Fearless 2, forward 3, down forward 1, laser scraper. I dropped it. Same thing. A single Fearless Warrior. And then I just do the 2-hit hell sweep at the end. You've used up too many hits to be able to squeeze another forward 3 at the end there. That will whiff. So just do the raw hell sweep out of Fearless Warrior for the end for 67. That's not a bad combo. The male-only version looked like this. I don't even know if I can do it anymore. It ends like that. It'd be 74. It's really hard to run all the way up there to get close enough for the back forward 2-1 without it dropping. I'll have all these notes again in the description so you can look at them all and decide which ones you want to learn and which ones feel more comfortable. Some other options you could do at the end of combos. For anyone that ended with the raw hell sweep, just like that, you could also run up and do a forward 3 into the kick to break the floor, or just get the Oki afterward, or just into another one of those for the wall carry. That also works too. As long as you got 2 hits left, either option will be fine. For the ones we have 3 hits left, I was doing forward 3 into hell sweep, or laser scraper 1+2. Interchangeable, exactly the same damage. You can also do down forward 1-2 if you need the floor break, stuff like that. And if you need wall carry that you're not quite sure, you'd be surprised how good that works. Once they're on the ground, that has a little bit of that weird float that covers some good distance toward the wall without you know, using up all your hits getting there. So wall carry options, this is actually a pretty good one. Otherwise, you can just kind of just run up and give you one of these if you need to. Despite the wall carry from this being super good, sometimes you need a little bit shorter wall carry. So Kazumi's wall combos were one of the things that really made her shine. They reduced it a little bit in this game, but not by a lot. It's still going to be pretty decent. It's just not going to compare to like a Brian, obviously. The wall combo she wants to get, which doesn't work on small characters like females or maybe Lee, stuff like that. I'll use this for the wall splats, down forward 1-2, which you're going to do a lot. People are going to get hit by it. But you want to do forward 3, fearless 2, and then tigers. Doesn't seem like there should be enough space, but it works. Forward 3 into Fearless 2. And then I hold in the 2 and then just mash out 1. So what you get is 1 plus 2, which hits as soon as they're possible. And if you watch the damage scaling, you can see that the first hit and the last hit are 60% damage. They hit the ground as the last tiger strikes, which since you hit the ground, the damage scaling gets reset, is where you get all that bonus damage from. So that's what she wants to do, but that will not work on smaller body characters. They'll drop underneath that. So instead of doing the forward 3 into Fearless 2 part, you can do a jab, down forward 1, then tigers. Looks like this. There it is. But that's the most damage you're going to get, and that's the small character version of it. You could do other things like down forward 1 plus 2, which will cause that inverted knockdown. You know what I mean? If they don't get up correctly, you get a stomp for free, things like that. 3-2 would cause the same. You get a stomp if they don't tech roll it correctly. But otherwise, the damage she gets off of that is really what you've been looking for the whole time. The forward 3 into the tiger stuff. She can also use the Fearless throw to reset. If you catch them to the wall just right, I'll stand up right back into that and get resplatted there. Interesting stuff. The max damage is the max damage, but you have plenty of options to kind of mess around with them, as well as being able to do floor breaks, wall breaks whenever you want to. She has a really basic set of tools for catching them afterwards, especially if you want to just, you know, do this knockdown. You wake them up with this thing, the down back 4. They're going to get annoyed by that, and as soon as they start ducking, this wall splats them. Another cool thing is you get the counter hit. I don't think I mentioned this earlier. The counter hit gets a free down 2, right? Out in the open. I might have forgotten that. At the wall, watch what this counter hit gets. You get to pick them up with that forward 3 Fearless 2 again. So if they press buttons at the wall when you happen to do that, heap of damage on top of them. So always kind of keep that in mind. If you see that counter hit, Fearless 3-2, or forward 3 Fearless 2. As soon as you hear the sound, let it go. Recombos them for that. So that's pretty much all you need at the wall is, you know, you either wake them up with this thing or you wake them up with that thing that wall splats them. You can maybe kind of back off a little bit and do one of these, launch them that way. Plenty of choices. A basic character has tools for the situation she needs and nothing else. There's no fluff. There's not a million things to pick from. You're pretty much going to stick with that to resplat them or go for some low stuff. Maybe catch them with these things, keep them guessing. And then boom, another splat. That's all you need. Now that we're at the wall, I also want to mention Kazumi's command throw that wall splats. This is down forward 1 plus 2. Causes a wall splat from a pretty good distance away. If you see out in the open, she'll cause a tumble. She'll punch, punch, punch. And they roll all the way back like that. If the wall is pretty much anywhere in that distance, it'll splat them. This got buffed a little bit in Season 2, whereas if the last chunk of damage that came from hitting the ground would not occur when they hit the wall. The wall splat would only do like 20 damage and then your combo. Now it does the full 40 damage into your wall splat. 76 off of that throw. So that got a nice damage increase as well. You got to break the throw, obviously, but if you don't, Kazumi gets a little bit more for it. Because Kazumi's used to do that left and right. Really taught people how to throw break online in this game because of the dangerous of that. Now let's talk about the new wall bounce mechanic. Kazumi's is Fearless Warrior 1. As we mentioned, used to be a launcher, is now just a situational launcher, but it's safe on block. A lot of the wall bouncers seem to be safe and often plus, just because their use is somewhat situational. Most of it depends on the distance you are to the wall. If you actually look at a lot of the stages, a lot of them have this sort of trim around the perimeter that kind of marks this region. You can see where Hachi's back foot is right up against that tiling right there. The actual distance is about 20 feet or so. If you're too far away, the move won't reach and you'll have wasted your opportunity for something else. If you're too close, it can kind of mess up the combo that follows. So let's take a look at some things you do far and some things that you do close. $71 damage from doing down forward 2 as my wall carry. That only works if you're the right distance away. If you're too close, it's not going to work just as well. Whoops, wrong move. If you get to the wall the same time as them, it's definitely going to screw up your combo. 71 damage is exactly the same by using forward 2. Forward 2 will also work when you're up close pretty well. One of the other ones I checked out was 3-1. Oops. Like that, 70 damage. All pretty much the same. Any of those 3 options are going to work when you're far enough away, should be just fine. When you are very close to the wall, however, you can't do whatever you want. You have to kind of readjust your timing. You can see forward 2 works pretty well there. Forward 1 or forward 4 will also work here. A little bit less damage in that case. I think of this in terms of being at the wall when you break the floor. As you fall down to the lower level, you just do a move that quickly snaps them back onto the wall and do your normal wall combo. This is a similar situation. Once they bounce from in close, you do that same kind of move just to snap them right back to the wall. In this case, that's that forward 2. And then your normal wall combo applies just as it would anywhere else. The damage scaling is a little bit different. And you kind of have to make the decision on the fly where you are when it's time to punish, or do I want to start fishing for this move when I get to a certain distance? It's definitely a whole new mechanic, and it adds some versatility to moves that had none before. In Kazumi's case, it's a bit of a sacrifice. She used to get a combo anywhere in the field for this move, but in exchange for it being safe on block, she now only gets the combo near the wall. So absolutely learn how to do it. You still get the wall break once you've done this as well. You can do the bounce, carry them to the wall, and once they splat, you can still break that wall or balcony when you get there from that point. The only problem is you can't do the wall bounce during an existing combo, which Tekken defines as being airborne. If you see some things like Asuka getting the counter hit off of her full crouch down forward 2, where they just kind of like tumble backwards, she can do her wall bounce off of that because the opponent is still on their feet. So it is a new mechanic that takes some exploring, but if you really just think about it as a situational launcher, the idea is the same. You hit him with it, you do a combo that carries to the wall, and then you do your wall combo. So while we are at the wall, let's take a look at Kazumi's Rage Drive. It's one of the better Rage Drives in that it can start a combo out in the open, as well as extend a combo that's already in progress. Hers will cause a wall splat from a large distance, as well as re-wall splat under certain conditions. Let's take a look at the best way to use it, which will take a little bit of getting used to, so forgive me if I miss it a couple times. Looks like that. Now, it doesn't seem all that hard. All I did was hop kick them at the wall, which puts them up on the wall off of their feet. I just did a jab, but then I waited for them to just touch the ground and then pop them with the Rage Drive. What I'm doing is letting them touch that grounded state, as we talked about in wall combos earlier, which means the damage scaling resets. It goes back up to 60%. So it does more damage in that state. And the property of the Rage Drive will cause them to re-wall splat and then tumble forward. If you notice how if I do that, say they tumble forward, right? But if I just hop kick, they don't do that. They slump backwards. So when you hit them correctly with the Rage Drive, they will splat to the wall and they will tumble forward again, where you get your basic combo, and where I just did a magic 4 into the 2 tigers. And again, the 2 tigers make contact during the grounded thing. So again, it should look like this. Too early. Notice it was only 61 damage that time. I missed out on hitting the Rage Drive right at that grounded point. It still works, it's fine. You're going to get a chunk of damage by doing it. But ideally in that situation, you do want to hit them right as they make contact with the ground, because you get a little bit of bonus damage. Like that. Now it's 70 damage. Right when their ass hits the ground is basically when that counter resets. If the Rage Drive hits them there, it'll get more damage, and it will still kind of pick them back up for a new wall splat. Now you'll notice if they're already in a tumble forward wall splat like this one, it won't do it a second time. See, that makes them slump backwards in that case. And you don't really get anything out of it. can't pick them back up from that state. So it doesn't work on every wall splat. It's best used when your combo gets you to the wall, and so you just get them there with one more of these things, which splats them higher up on the wall, so they sink down. If they're in that sink down wall splat, then you hit them with the rage drive, it'll get you the resplat. So you gotta have to practice that a little bit, that timing, right when they hit the ground. You want to catch it right there. And you'll notice a difference in your damage. If you don't get it just right, it still works, but you get less damage. So that's the primary function for, I think, for her rage drive in combos, is to get that little bit of wall splat and the extra damage, the wall break, etc., etc. Out in the open, let me set it to default. This is a combo starter at 14 frames. Now, it does hit him in the air super high, makes him spin around backwards and really far away from you. So there's a couple of choices you have to try to combo with it, but honestly, I don't really like any of them. You see, if I jab them, they're still face down in a weird angle. I honestly feel like the Hunting Hawk, up forward 3-4-3 is still the best option to hit him there. And even another one, 3-4-1. That works out pretty well too. And because even after the screw attack, they'll be backwards, you have other choices, but I feel for the opening of the combo, up forward 3-4-3 is still a pretty solid way to do it. If you're closer to the wall when it first happens, you know, it's really not a lot you can do there. You have the sideways, backwards, floaty juggle, but you're right next to the wall. It's kind of like when Dragunov's running 2 counter hits next to the wall, you almost feel like you're missing out. But her rage drive is a good one. It's basically a 14 frame launcher. A slightly weird combo when you use it that way, but if you do the combo first and then get to the wall, you get a huge chunk of damage after it by doing the wall splat. And if you get it just right, you get even more bonus damage by taking advantage of the way damage scales. And so the last element of rage would be the rage art, which in Kazumi's case is nothing special. Down 1+2 is just a basic mid rage art, about a 20 frame startup, minus 25 or so on block, just like all the rest of them. It's got average range, nothing super far, nothing super short either. The one thing that really strikes me about this rage art, no tigers. Of all the magic tiger attacks she uses, this is not one of them. She punches you up and then she punches you back down, no tiger. Other than that, no real complaints. It's a pretty average rage art, does exactly what it's supposed to do. So, that just about wraps it up. If you were new to Tekken in Season 2, then I hope this is a pretty good way to start learning the character. If you already knew how Kazumi worked in the previous season, hopefully this will catch you up with everything that they changed mechanic-wise and everything that changed in terms of what you want to do with the character and how you should be playing her to the best. So, in either event, I thank you for watching, and until the next video series, in which I'm probably going to redo tutorials for all the Season 1 characters, just to either update them or catch people up. So I hope you'll tune back in for those. Follow the channel, subscribe, all that good stuff. There's buttons down below. All of my Facebook, Twitter, live streams on Twitch, they are all Mastermind 6000. So go check all those out. Give me some likes and follows. I really appreciate it, and I will see you next time.